You're listening to the Minutes on Growth podcast, the show that brings you mindfully curated insights into relationships, spirituality, personal development, and everything in between, with your host, Tannaz Hosseinpour. Hi, soul friends, it's Tannaz Hosseinpour, and welcome back to another short solo episode of Minutes on Growth. We are officially in 2023. I honestly don't know about you guys, but I can't believe how quickly time flies by. I mean, I'm still writing down the date as 2022 during my sessions, and I keep having to change the date. My mind has not processed it yet. But anyways, with every new year comes a new list of resolutions, experiences we want to have, feelings we want to feel, places we want to go to, people we want to meet. And at first, we're so excited about our lists and we're committed to them wholeheartedly. But as time passes by, that excitement starts to fade. In fact, did you know that on average, only 9 to 12% of people keep their New Year's resolutions? That's crazy in my opinion. But why do you think that is? Well, I have been thinking about this for a couple of days, and I've come up with a couple of reasons why I think it happens. For starters, many of us write down the things that we think we desire. But in fact, those desires don't even belong to us. They are desires we have been conditioned to think we want, whether it's been passed on to us by our parents, by our friends, or our community, or social media. So we write it down, we say this is our desire, but we don't follow through because we're not actually that invested in it. We're not actually that passionate about it. So that's one of the reasons. Another reason we give up is the lack of discipline we have. So we got to be honest with ourselves. Many of us depend on motivation to get through these desires, but the issue with motivation is that it ebbs and flows. And that is why discipline is so important to have. We need to have discipline to be able to stick with the desire and to get through. It's the value of integrity. It's about holding our promise to ourselves. Many struggle with discipline, myself included. So this is one of those things that we need to be super honest with ourselves about and ask ourselves, what system do I need to have in place to guarantee success? For example, I'm not shy to admit that I have honestly always struggled with discipline when it comes to my fitness routine. So at the beginning of every month, I make sure that I budget my expenses in a way that allows me to have a trainer who can hold me accountable. And I try to create systems for my other desires as well. For example, every year I have a desire to read a certain number of books. It's usually 20 books. And I've created a book club because I know that by committing to that book club, I am able to hold myself accountable. So remember, discipline trumps motivation. In fact, discipline activates our motivation tank. So the second reason could be discipline or the lack thereof. Another reason that New Year's resolutions get forgotten about is because we focus so much on the overall desire and not so much on the feeling we want to feel during the journey there. So hear me out. I have asked permission to one of my clients, and so I'm sharing this story. A client of mine told me that they want to manifest a specific career, a specific position. And before I share the story, I want to say when someone tells me they want to manifest something, I spend a lot of time guiding them through a reflective journey on how they think they will feel once they get it, and more importantly, how they want to feel every step of the way, because the destination might change. We are always changing, evolving, and growing. And sometimes as a result of that, our desires change throughout time as well. They either get more refined or they change altogether. So if we're so fixated on that desire and not as much on the feeling that the desire will cultivate, once these changes take place, we might give up. So coming back to the example of my client, I had a client who wanted to get a promotion at work, and she really wanted to be the director of marketing at that company. And at first, I asked her why, and she said she wanted it to make more money. But, once we started looking at it deeply, we recognized that the desire was rooted in two things. She wanted to be in a position that allowed her to have more influence, to feel useful, and she wanted to feel as if she was truly cultivating her passions and her talents. Reminds me of Dr. Wayne Dyer's quote, don't die with your music still in you. And that's exactly what she was experiencing, and that's what she was craving. So we set an intention to focus on the feelings that she wanted to feel every day at work, like finding opportunities where she could practice her skills more and her gifts more, and intentionally putting herself in spaces where that creative feeling was activated more and more. And guess what? In just a couple of weeks, I think, she got a job offer from another firm. But here's the crazy part. It wasn't for the position of director of marketing, but it was a position at a startup. So not even at that same company, but at a startup that allowed her more space and flexibility to really nurture her creative gifts. And the bonus part, she received a salary bump. So if she wasn't flexible, and if she was too fixated on becoming the director at her old firm, she would have not been open to even considering the other offer. And there was a high chance that she wouldn't feel the feeling of fulfillment that she wanted once she had manifested, being the director of marketing at her old firm. So that's important too, to be flexible and to really focus on the feeling that we believe the desire will bring to us and the feeling that we want to feel on the journey to that desire. And lastly, another reason is that many people give up on their desire when challenges occur. There is so much content nowadays out there on seeking the path of least resistance that, many see challenges as the universe telling them that they're on the wrong path. And I disagree with that. I disagree with this belief, and I'll explain to you why. I truly believe that the path of least resistance arises after we have the courage and the discipline to take the path of most resistance. Most of the time, seeds of growth are hidden in the tasks we avoid. When we are able to maintain a disciplined mindset and push through the areas where we are facing the most resistance, we are paving a smoother path for ourselves in the future. But the inner critic dislikes challenges. It prefers the comfort zone. It prefers the safe zone. When the inner critic faces challenges, it whispers into our ear, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. It's too hard. It's too much work. Let's do it later. And slowly convinces us to give up. After all, the critic can speak to us most when we're in a state of doubt in our abilities and potential. So the critic wants us to be in that space. But today, I want to remind you, since we're just a few days into 2023, that the light is revealed in darkness. So embrace the darkness. Oftentimes, miracles arise the night after what feels like the darkest and most challenging night. This is when we need to maintain our faith. Now, this can be faith in whatever you believe in, but faith and trust is what allows us to really open up and to trust the process and to hold the process close to our heart, to have certainty, to know that if a desire exists within us and if we've reflected on it enough times that we know it belongs to us and not to others, and if that desire truly serves the highest good for us and all those involved, so it's not a selfish desire, but rather it's a selfless desire, then that challenge, that wait, that pause, that roadblock is part of the journey that we're meant to experience too. that challenge is not the universe testing us, but rather, if given the opportunity, that challenge will teach us patience. That challenge will teach us to think outside of the box. That challenge will teach us to go within and activate gifts that we have kept dormant for years. That challenge has a purpose. And instead of doubting ourselves, we get curious with it. As Dr. Wayne Dyer would say, the moment we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. The moment we start to look at challenges as blessings in the manifestation process, that's exactly what it becomes, blessings. So remember, nothing has meaning until we give it meaning. So let us, soul friends, set an intention today to view our challenges as gifts from the universe. And I pray that you and I and all of us have the discipline and mindset needed to bring all our resolutions to life, resolutions that will elevate our experience of reality and that will allow us to share our gifts with the world and to make the world a better place for everyone in it. Sending you lots of love. Thank you for listening, and speak soon. Thank you for joining us this week on Minutes on Growth. If you enjoyed today's episode, then make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now.